Hey guys, and welcome to a new series on my channel. Recently I asked you guys whether or not you'd be interested in seeing a palette a day series. A couple of you did say you'd be interested in seeing that series testing all of the indie brand eyeshadow palettes that I have in my collection, and these are brand new to me. I made it kind of a mission in my personal life to support more independent brands and get more into indie eyeshadow brands. So I have been hauling a bunch. I've got a bunch of different indie brand haul shadow videos on my channel. I think there's maybe 4 installments, and I will be trying to link those in the description box in case you guys are interested in checking them out and you haven't already. But I have 45 palettes still to go that I have not tested, I have not put on my eyes. I have swatched most of these in the haul video, but in these videos I am going to fully swatch all of the palettes before we do one look. Not all of these palettes are still available. I noticed that after hauling them, some of them sell out. That's how indie brand shadows go. But in case some of them do come back in stock, and in case you guys have these palettes in your current collection and are interested in seeing a look, I am going to include all of the palettes that I hauled, regardless of whether or not they are still available. I am just picking the palettes that are really calling to me the day that I come up here to film these videos. And if you are interested in me doing a look with any one of those next, please leave it in the comments below. If you guys aren't currently subscribed, I'd love to see you subscribe. You guys, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to day 2. Today I wanted to do a palette that's actually been sitting like behind me for a while. That's kind of in my everyday makeup drawer. This wasn't one of the ones that I had laid out of like the 45 palettes that I showed you guys, but I haven't tested this yet. And it was like an older palette. I've had this for a while, and that's why it was like really in my everyday makeup drawer. Plus, Beauté, they're rebranding. So everything on their site right now is pretty much half off. I want to say this normally retails for $34.99, and right now I just checked and it's $15. I don't know what the rebranding means. I don't know if that's like a reformulation to their shadows. I know that they've done that in the past, but I think it's more along the lines of like packaging and whatnot. So I thought that I would use this one since this one's probably not going to be around much longer, and because it's half off. So if you guys were interested in checking it out, it's $15 right now. And I think all of their stuff that they still have in stock is half off. I have the Beauté formula in my collection. I want to say I have like the Fall Romance palette. It was probably the last one that I tried, and I loved that palette. It was so good. Their mattes are incredible in their reformulation. The shimmers are more on the softer side. None of them are like super chunky so far as the ones that I've tested, not like super foiled. These are really great everyday shadows. This one I just wanted to grab because I personally love like greens and burgundies together, and that's what I was feeling today. So this is your 12 pan eyeshadow palette. There is 7 mattes in this and then 5 shimmers. There is a better lighting, and all of the shimmers are different tones and different colors, so none of them look like repeats. And I think I was thinking like a green purple look today, something along those lines, but probably not like lashes and lower lash line work, I don't think. Just maybe something a little bit simple, something a little bit more wearable on an everyday basis. I don't usually do lower lash line work, so let's swatch this out. Let's get an idea of what these shades look like, and we'll do a look. All right, so this first one here is Rye. Oh, so creamy, super creamy. This is kind of like a warmer toned beigey shade. It's a great diffusing shade, and it isn't useless for me in any other way. Like this could be a great transition shade if I was looking for something warmer. All right, the second one is a really super soft, like champagne colored shimmer. This one is in Barley, a great everyday shade right there. Could wear that with really any look. And then Sunflower is kind of a yellowish, I think it's yellow, goldish yellow shimmer. I think all of the shimmers are of the same formula. I did forget to mention when this was shipped, this shade right here came broken. All right, this is Maize, like corn, so it's yellow. Their mattes are super creamy. They're honestly some of my favorite mattes. They're always so good. Like they're a reliable formula. This one is Hay. This is like a farm palette. I just kind of now realized that. Oh, I just skipped over a shade. Golden Apple is the next one, which is a really camo green. I didn't get the best swatch on that one, but those 2 shades would look really good together. And then the next one is Hay, which is like a peachy pink shimmer. Ooh, I'm swatching that all over the place. Oopsie. But yeah, Rye, Barley, Sunflower, Maize, Hay. I didn't realize that this palette, Classical Paradise, was kind of like farm themed or farm inspired. This next one is called Vegetation. I don't know that I would have named this palette Classical Paradise, but it's not what I think of when I think of Classical Paradise at all. This next one is like a burgundy matte. It's kind of got brownish tones to it. It's in Earth. I love shades like this, so long as they don't turn up too purple on me. All right, the next one is Harvest. This is a super soft, very thin formulated shimmer. That's really pretty. All of these shimmers are totally everyday. They're great just to throw on with any look, I think. Clay is the next one, which is, again, it's like a wine color, I would say. See, it's not like a true burgundy. It's more like a wine, which has more pink in it. I bet you this one will like stain me. All right, Mineral is the next shade, which is like a gunmetal color, but it's like almost purple. Oh my gosh, I'm having the hardest time swatching today. This mirror is not in the right place. Ooh, that's so pretty. That's a one and done shade right there. And this last one again is like a wine color in Soil, but it's like a deeper wine than the one in Clay, the one I swatched before it, but not as deep as Earth. They kind of go in like a gradient. Yeah, it's deeper than this one here and not as deep as this one. So light, darker, darkest. And there is the full color story. I love greens and burgundies, and not everybody, I think, loves those tones together. I personally do. They're some of my favorite tones paired together. All of these shimmers are pretty much the same in terms of texture, that they're just on the softer side with no foiledness. And I think there's a time and a place for like a foiled shimmer, and then there's a time and a place for something that's more everyday and light. Okay, I think I'm gonna start with Earth, which is the deepest shade in the outer corner. I'm gonna like start with this one and buff it in potentially with some of these lighter ones that are still kind of on the burgundy side, but I'm going straight for that green shade right here to kind of bring in as like a transition shade. So I'm going out to in, outer corner, inner corner, but I'm buffing inwards. I've been liking that, but I'm still like testing it out, so I don't know how I feel about it yet. But I'm taking a pretty dense packer brush. It's the Spectrum B04 brush in the outer corner first. I think Ace Beauté shades are pretty blendable. I feel like I've only done mostly packing in the outer corner with their deep shades. I don't know how much I've actually worked on blending their deeper shades in the outer corner, but we're going for it. I don't know that I love this method more. I have been trying to go outer corner, inner corner to diffuse the shades out, especially when you're dealing with mattes, but again, I don't know that it makes like a huge difference when you use a pretty prominent shimmer. All right, let's stay with that. And then let's take Soil with the same brush. I just cleaned it off with my little switchy thing, and let's keep going. Let's keep going inward, and let's see if these make any difference whatsoever. I don't think so. Like, they're the same depth, they just have a little bit of a different tone. So I'm gonna go back into Earth to deepen this outer corner out even more, because it's got more brown in it, but like once you start blending it out, it's not holding that, you know? It just kind of diffuses away a little bit. All right, now I'm taking another brush and I'm going into Golden Apple, which is that green shade here. This one is more of a fluffy brush. I don't know, Morphe M200, I guess. What's happening here? This brush sucks. Like, what is this brush doing? No, thank you. I'm switching brushes. This is a blending brush from Colored Rain, and I'm going back into that green shade. That brush sucked. It was like not moving the product around. I'm kind of going around the edges a bit with the green. Okay, so the maroon shades and the wine shade, so much better. The green is like skipping a little bit, and these shades are like diffusing out like quite a bit. Every time I touch them, they're diffusing more and more. Okay, I keep going back and forth on what shimmer I want to use. I literally cannot decide. Like, is it this one or is it this one? Is it the sunflower shade or is it like the more orangey shade? Does this come out like more orange than pink? Like, do I want to do this one? Because it'll really pop. I don't know. I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take that sunflower shade. I don't have a lot of green like in this eye look, I don't think, but I'm still gonna use this sunflower shade because I really like its tone, and I think it'll really pop against the like burgundy. These really are such beautiful shimmers, like such everyday shimmers. Okay. I feel like the shimmer is like taking over the matte is kind of what it looks like. And then the matte, when I'm laying the matte down, it's taking over the shimmer. Like, the two of them aren't blending together great. All right, I'm going back into that golden apple shade and I'm like buffing it everywhere, bringing it in, bringing it around, back into earth, and like deepening this outer V. Yeah, fading those two colors in literally did nothing. Like they're too similar. The earth and the clay shade, too similar. Even the undertone doesn't like stay. I'm trying to add earth back, clay back, that like lighter wine shade, because I was like going into soil, and this shade and the earth shade, like these two, way too similar on the eyes. So I'm like trying to bring this in so I can bring in like a different tone into the look, because it's just more pink, that clay shade. But boy, one thing they could have done is like make a little bit more variety between the two shades. I mean, that's like the only thing that I could see, is just giving it a little bit of distinction between those two shades, because their undertone is way too similar. And then essentially like when you're buffing it out, it doesn't like hold its tone. I am literally just cleaning up the edge on this because I am not going to do any lower lash line work today. Like I told you guys, I'm just going to keep it simple. Honestly, this shimmer is not even that like punchy. I thought it was going to be more punchy than this. By the time I started going in with the brush, it was not as impactful. Like these are better laid with your finger, I think. Yeah, that's like even 10 times more impactful than when I was like switching to the brush and using the brush. Like now I think it's popping. All right, I like that a little bit better. Let me go do this to the other eye. Okay, you guys, I just went and I finished the rest of my makeup after I did the eye. I think this look could have stood for lower lash line work. It would have looked really good. I think if I had done like the deeper shade of the outer part and then even brought the shimmer on the lower lash line on the inner part, I think it would have been really pretty. Let me give you my final thoughts on this particular palette. The first thing I want to mention is that these burgundy tones, way too similar. This one and this one are so similarly toned that they weren't like diffusing the way that I wanted to. They were just like blending in together and they were looking the same. So when I brought this one in, it has so much more of a pink tone to it that it looked really good with that one, because it's such a light like wine color. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more variety between the matte burgundy shades or the matte wine color. I will say that the shimmer kept overtaking the matte, and then the matte kept overtaking the shimmer. The two of them weren't like marrying together perfectly, which I don't always find. I just felt like every time I laid the shimmer down, the matte was gone. Every time I laid the matte over it, it was like the shimmer was gone. So I don't know what that was about, but the blendability was really there. I like the way that these shades diffuse out. And earth, I love this. A lot of these burgundy tones that I wear, sometimes they have a different undertone when they get to the face. They start looking super purple, and I'm just not like a huge fan of the way some burgundy undertones are. I really enjoyed the way that this looked. Again, I think the only two things that I notice here are really that I would have liked to see a little bit more variety, and then also like the shimmers are maybe a little bit intense. I don't know, maybe they just overtake the matte a little bit because of the shade that I used in particular. The other thing that I will say is that I liked the way that these shimmers applied with my finger way better than a brush. When I was using a brush, it was like not as impactful. It was losing its light reflectiveness. And so I was going over it again with my finger. And then I think it was like really pigmented. I think there are a lot of things that you can do with this palette. I think all of these shades show up on me. I had a good time. I'm overall like a fan of the Ace Beauté formula because I think it's very trusty and everyday. And for a $15 palette at its current price, I don't think this is half bad. Additionally, I think I got this discounted anyway. I did not pay full price for this palette. And I personally love like the color story of this. I love the greens and the burgundies, and I like that it's like orange and yellow in here, and then you have some like standalone shimmers. Like you could wear this all by itself and you could wear this all by itself. Aside from that, what other colors would be good in the outer corners? Really just the burgundies. But still, I think you can do a lot of different things with this and a lot of different things on an everyday basis. So I really enjoyed this palette. These kind of tones are kind of my favorite. I like the way that they look on my skin tone. I like the way that they look with my blue eyes. Anyway, I enjoyed the look today. I enjoyed playing with this palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not currently subscribed, I'd love to see you subscribe so that you guys can stick around for days 3 through however many indie palettes we end up trying. I'm out of here, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye, guys.